Okay, welcome back, and I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving break and staying safe. So let's see where we're at. We've only got a couple weeks left, and then we got finals week, which is not really finals week, but okay. So last Tuesday, we had a for those of you that came, we did the intro to simulation models, the first part of chapter 10. And so that was last Tuesday's exercise that we did in class. And so make sure you get that turned in by today if you haven't done that. And obviously, there was no class, no meeting on Thursday because it was Thanksgiving. So we only had the one assignment from last week that's due today. We're like one day behind in the syllabus because I didn't account for the scheduling of Thanksgiving. And so let me just show you what's next. We only have a few more things to do. All right, so we did that last Tuesday. That's due today. This we're going to do. This is not due today because we haven't done it yet. And so we're going to do this today. This will be due next Tuesday. We have one more exercise I want to do on Thursday, and then so the take home. It's not due in a week because I haven't assigned it yet, and so this won't be due for a week from next Tuesday. Basically, it's due the Tuesday during your scheduled finals week. So this is 1 week off. This is actually when I'm going to give it to you. And so let me just. All right, so I think that kind of summarizes what we've got for the last. We have 15 weeks of the semester, and this is week 14, and next week is week 15. And then typically the next week would be finals week, but you're just going to have something due because we're obviously not meeting during finals. And so this Thursday, we're going to do another exercise. We'll do our last in-class exercise this Thursday. And then next Tuesday, we'll do the normal final exam review. We'll do a kind of a practice exam in class during the WebEx meeting. And then, like we normally do, I'll post the exam after class next Tuesday, and then you have a week to do it. So it'll be due the week during finals week, and then usually the Thursday after I assign the exam, there's nothing new, so it'll just be office hours. So this is the remaining 4 meetings will kind of be like this, and then you'll have your final due, take-home final due, the Tuesday of finals week. Okay? So I guess the final will be due. December 15th? Yeah, that sounds right. Okay. All right, so that's the only discrepancy in the syllabus because this is not due today. And we have one more exercise, and the final exam is not due next Tuesday, it's due in 2 weeks. Okay, so sound good? Everybody good with that? Okay, so let's do example 10.2, which is this so more in the simulation model. So the rest of the semester or the rest of the week, we'll do some more examples with doing simulations, basic simulations in Excel. All right, so this will be useful. And yeah. So example 10.2 on Blackboard is the folder here. All right, so you can open up the example 10.2 Word document. We'll start with that. And then the first Excel file that we're going to work with is the ordering calendars Excel only one. All right, so we can start with that one. And so there's 3 versions of this, but we should have plenty of time to do this. And I've got some practice questions. So we might have time to do that, but if we're not, we'll get to that later. Okay, so there's a couple optional videos that I recommend watching if you get some time. So there's one on doing probability simulations in Excel, and there's another one using the data table function to do simulations. There's 2 ways. There's a couple different ways to do simulations. We're going to do both in today's exercise, but if you want more information on these 2 techniques that we're going to try to learn today, I'd recommend watching those videos on YouTube. So let me read the description for example 10.2, and then we'll start working with the ordering calendars, Excel only one. All right, so I think this is a similar one. So in August, Walton Bookstore must decide how many of next year's nature calendars to order. And each calendar costs the bookstore $7.50 and sells for $10. After February 1st, all unsold calendars will be returned to the publisher for a refund of $2.50 per calendar because after a month, nobody's going to buy calendars in February. Walton believes that the number of calendars it can sell by February 1st follows the probability distribution shown in table 11. And so it's basically a normal distribution we learned about on Tuesday. And so Walton wants to develop a simulation model to help it decide how many calendars to order. All right, so that's what we're going to do. And so this is on the spreadsheet, but we're simplifying and saying demand is going to be one of these 5 options, and these are the probabilities for simplification. So there's a 30% chance demand is 100. There's a 20% chance demand is 150. There's a 30% chance demand is 200. And there's a 15% chance demand is 250, and only a 5% chance it is 300. So demand has to be one of these values, and the more likely ones are more likely to occur, but we're going to do a simulation and see how the results are going to be determined by number 1, the probabilities, number 2, the normal distribution, and kind of the results we get in the simulation. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. Let's go back to here. All right, so ordering calendars Excel only one is the first one. Okay, so let's start we're back to this again. So we're gonna highlight the inputs. We're gonna highlight the decision variables. We're gonna highlight the objectives, and let's do that first. Okay. All right, so you can see here that the cost data are inputs because the cost $7.50 to order a book. It's $10 to sell it, and then if we get a refund, it's $2.50. So these are these are inputs. Okay, so you can highlight that area, light blue. All right, and then the demand probabilities we just went through, those are inputs as well. So you can highlight this area. E5 to F9, those are inputs as well. All right, we're going to decide how many books to order. So that is the decision variable, which means that cell B9 is our light red decision variable cell. And we're going to, the goal here, the objective is to maximize profit. So cell G19 is the objective cell. So that can be highlighted, the highlight yellow color for the objective. All right, so you can see we're going to do a bunch of simulations, but we're trying to decide how many books to order. And the objective is to maximize profit, and we have these cost data and these probabilities that demand can be, which is going to be a normal distribution. All right, and then the final part of step one is just to put the suggested order quantity. All right, so just we'll start with 200. That's our trial value in the decision variable B9. So just put a 200 in there for now. We'll decide later if that's the best choice. All right, so just type in a 200 for B9. Okay, step two, we're going to set up the cumulative probabilities table so we can use this. So basically, we're going to generate random numbers in our simulations, and then the more likely occurrences will get probably more hits because they're like the ones that are 30% we'll see more of those, and the one that's like 5% we'll see less of it. We're going to still, I think we're doing 1,000 simulations, so we'll still see some of each, but the ones that are more likely have a higher probability we're probably going to see more of, and we have to set it up so Excel can do that. So let's put a 0 in cell D5, and then let's put this formula in D6 and copy it to the range D7 to D9. All right, so we'll see what this does here. All right, so go to cell D5, which is right here, and just put in a 0. And then in D6, this is the simple formula. Okay, equals F5 plus D5. Okay, so you just got a 0 here. In D6, this is equal to F5 plus D5. And then all you got to do here is just grab the bottom right corner of D6 and drag it down to the rest of the table like this. All right, so if you got that, you should have a 0, the 0.0 here, 0.3 here, 0.5 here, 0.8 here, and 0.95 here. And so the point of this step here is we're going to generate random numbers between 0 and 1, and we're making the more likely demands have a bigger range. So you can see that this is a 30% chance of happening, 100. And so if the random number is between 0 and 0.3, that gives us 100. Okay, so that's a 30% chance of the random number being 100. If the random number is between 0.3 and 0.5, there's a 20% chance of that, which is exactly what we want for 150. If it's between 0.5 and 0.8, there's a 30% chance of that, which denotes 200. If it's between 0.8 and 0.95, there's a 15% chance of that, and that'll give us 250. And if it's above 0.95, there's only a 5% chance of that, which gives us 300. All right, so we've synced the random numbers to cover the probabilities of these demands occurring. Okay, so step 3. Okay, let's first give a range name to the lookup table. So let's call D5 to F9 lookup table. Okay, so you can select this whole range like that. So the demand distributions and those decimals you got to the left. So select D5 to E9, and then up on the name box up here, just call it lookup table. All right, so just call it lookup table up in the name box, enter. And when you reselect that, you should see that the name syncs with it, which is lookup table up there. So this whole range, you have to manually call lookup table. Okay, so we got that. And next step is let's put just the random function formula in B19. And then we'll put, we'll use the lookup function with the random numbers to give us the associated demand that goes along with the probabilities in cell C19. All right, so first in cell B19, okay, so just generate a random number. So this is in cell B19 equals rand all right, so this equals the rand function and then open and close parentheses. So nothing in the parentheses. So it'll give you some random number between 0 and 1. And then we're going to use that random number to give us the demand associated with the random number based on the lookup table. Okay, so in C19 equals VLOOKUP. All right, so remember that function. and then B19. All right, so equals VLOOKUP, and then in the parentheses B19, comma, lookup table, comma 2. And so what's going to happen here is that it's going to use the VLOOKUP function, take the random number, and then go up to this lookup table and report the demand is report the value in column 2 associated with the random number. So based on this, it's going to give us one of these demands, right? So it's going to look up the random number. It's going to give us the demand that goes with that random number. All right, enter. And now it's very likely that your demand will be different than mine because it's based on your random number. So if this number is different, this number might be different. So you don't have to get the same demand because it's based on the lookup table. Let's see how, let me, I'm just going to decrease the decimals to 2 so we can see clearly what the lookup table is doing. So if you click on B19, and up here you should see under the Home tab, see decrease decimal, this button. If you hit that until you only have 2 decimals, then it's more clear what's going on here. So 0.4 is in between this range, right? So that's going to give us 150. So that you should be able to see how the demand is getting reported based on the random number and the lookup table. Okay, so everybody good so far? Okay. All right, so the next step is to calculate the revenue, cost, refund, and then profit. And profit's going to be revenue minus cost plus any refund. All right, so before we do the next step, let's make a few more range names to save some time. So let's make a range name for all the cost datas. So if you select this range, A4 to B6, then formulas tab, create from selection. Left column for these will be the 3 names for these cells, so hit OK. And let's make one more for order quantity. So if you select A9 to B9, formulas, create from selection, left column OK. And then let me just click on the name manager. And we've only made these 5, so make sure you got these. Lookup table, which was the manual lookup table you made. Order quantity, unit cost, unit price, and unit refund. So those are the 5 we have for now. Okay, now we can calculate the revenue, cost, and refund, the next few steps. Okay, so we'll calculate the revenue based on this formula, and we'll calculate the cost based on this formula, and we'll calculate the refund based on this formula. So, and then the profit's going to be revenue plus refund minus cost. Okay. So these next steps, we're just going to enter the formulas along to get to the profit, and so we're building up to the profit cell. All right, so step 4, I guess, is to calculate revenue. So put the formula that you see on your printout right here in D19, assuming you made the range names, equals all right. So we've done a similar formula a few times. So the revenue is going to be the minimum of the demand or the order quantity because you can't sell more than demand and you can't sell more than what you order. So that's the logic here. So we did this similarly in the quantity discounts one back in like week 2. So equals unit price times min C19 order quantity. All right, so whichever of these numbers is smaller, demand or order quantity, multiply that by the unit price because you can't sell more than whichever one's the lowest. All right, so equals unit price times min C19 comma order quantity. Okay. And again, your number is going to be based on your demand, so it might be different. But so you can see that order quantity here is 200, demand is 150, so we can't sell more than demand. So the revenue for mine is going to be 150 times 10, which is 1500. Okay. Now cost, step 5. Okay, and equals in cell E19 equals unit cost times order quantity. All right, so this one's simple. If we order 200 books or calendars and they cost $750 per calendar, then this times this, 200 times 750 gives us 1500. So everybody should get 1500 here. So this should be the same because everybody has the same order quantity at this point. Okay, so this should say 1500. Next step is the refund. Okay, in cell F19 equals all right, equals unit refund times max order quantity minus C19 comma 0. Okay, and so this is similar. We've done this formula before. So what's happening is we get a refund if we order too many. So here's the refund amount. If this is bigger than this, we can sell the remainder back, the extra back at $250 per book. Okay, so if order quantity minus C19 is positive if we order too many, then give us the unit refund. Otherwise, if we don't have any left, give us 0. So if you hit enter, now yours might be a little different, but for mine, order quantity is 200, demand is 250, so there's no refund because we didn't even order enough. So we didn't even meet demand, so we're not getting a refund because we didn't order too many. So this is all based on which of these numbers, demand versus order quantity, is higher. If this is higher, you get a refund at $250 per book. Okay, so you might have gotten a refund based on your random number and your demand. Okay, and then step 7 in the profit cell, the objective, G19, this is just equal to revenue plus refund minus cost, so equals equals D19 plus F19 minus E19. So profit's just revenue minus cost, and if we get a refund, put that in there too. So equals revenue plus refund, if you get one, and then minus cost. Okay, and again, all your calculations are based on the random number. So depending on what this is, it's very likely that all your values are different than mine, except for this one. This one has to be the same. Okay, and then one more thing. Let's make these values into currency. So if you want to select D19 to D19 to G19 like this, all the monetary values, let's go ahead and Home tab, Format cells, and change the category to currency. Let's make 0 decimals, and with the dollar sign. Okay, so you got the random number here. You got the demand associated with the random number based on the lookup table. You got the revenue here. You got the cost here, the refund here, and the profit here. Okay, so we've set up the first simulation.
Hey, Professor.
Yeah.
Could you show how to do the monetary values one more time with the formulas?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to categorize these or change the category to currency. So all you want to do is select your monetary values, which are revenue, cost, refund, and profit. So D19 to G19. Okay, so with those selected, under the Home tab, hit the Format drop-down menu, and then go down to Format Cells. And right here, the category, switch it to currency. And I think they're all whole numbers, so I just put the decimals at 0. And then you want your dollar sign symbol. So category is currency, 0 decimals, and dollar sign, and just hit OK.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Professor,
Yes.
Wi-Fi just cut out for a minute. Could you just go over like the revenue, cost, and refund cells so I could see the formula?
Sure. All right, so this the revenue one is step 4, okay? And so the formula in step 4 is equal to unit price times min, and then in the parentheses C19 comma order quantity. And so what this is it's going to give us the revenue is based on which number is lower. So if demand is lower, then multiply the unit price times that. And if order quantity is lower, then multiply the unit price times that. And so this is because we can't sell more than demand, and we also can't sell more than what we order. So whichever of these numbers is smaller, it's going to be multiplied by 10. All right, and then you can see that every time you change things or hit enter or something, the simulation resets, so it's going to keep changing, but the formula should be the same. Okay, cost. This is step 5. So in this cell, E19 equals unit cost times order quantity. Okay, so if we order 200 and they cost $7.50 per book, then this times that is $1,500. And the refund is based on if we order too much. So in step 6, in cell F19 equals unit refund times max, and then in the parentheses, order quantity minus C19 comma 0. And so what this does is it tells you if this difference is positive, then give us the refund at $2.50 per book. So if we order too many, we get a refund at $2.50 per book. All right, so this time you see the refund. So,
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. Okay, so you're welcome. And just to see the random number change based on it calculated again. So you should be able to see how you get this from just the random number. So 0.3 is in this range. Okay, so that means if it's in this range, it gives us 150, right? Revenue is based on which of the demand or order quantity is lower times the selling price. So in this case, we ordered 200, but demand's only 150. So 150 times 10 is 1,500. Cost is always 1,500. Let's see, we get a refund now because we have an extra 50, and we can sell those back at $2.50 per book. We ordered too many, and so 50 times 250 is 125, and then profit is this plus this minus this. Okay, so I think we've got the first simulation, and now we're just going to use those formulas to generate more replications. So step 8, I think. Okay, so let's number the replications 1 through 1,000. And well, let's do that first. All right, so this is replication 1, so just put a 1 there. Okay, let's put a 2 in A20. And you can see that sometimes it changes the random number based on if you enter things. So now we're just gonna, you can select these two, A19 and A20, and we want to count up to 1,000, just 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 1,000. So just grab the bottom right corner and drag it until you count up to 1,000 like this. All right, so all you did was count 1 to 1,000, and you should have 1, 2, 3, all the way to 1,000 for your given number of replications in the range A19 all the way to A1018. Okay, did we get that part? Okay, now all we have to do now is really copy the formulas down. Okay, so where are we? Okay, you can select the whole range, B19 to G19, then we're going to copy it all the way down from B19 to G1018. So we're going to autofill all the simulations to get profits based on the random demands. We've already done this part, I think. We've already done this part. Okay, so let's just copy it to the other rows. And so back to the spreadsheet. Okay, so you've got your simulations, 1 through 1,000 right here. Now what you're going to do is select all of this together. All right, so with the mouse or the keyboard, select B19 to G19, all of it. Okay, and then this should work. The shortcut is just with this selected, B19 to G19. Just double click the bottom right corner here. Yeah, and you should get, it should have repeated those calculations 999 more times. And so in replications 1 through 1,000, you should get random numbers, demands associated with those random numbers, and the profit based on that demand. Okay, you can see how we get different profits based on what the random number came out to. Okay, did we get that? Did the simulation there work? All right. So we've done the simulation manually, and let's see if we can summarize what the results gave us. And so first, step 9. All right. So let's get summary measures. We're going to see what the average, the standard deviation, the min, and the max are. And so I want to throw one more step in here, which is just to make a range name for the profit area. So first, go back to the spreadsheet. And I think it's easier if we name this whole profit area a range name. So if you just click on G18 and select this whole profit area, the shortcut is Shift Control down. Okay, so you want to select basically G18 to G1018. All right, so you can do that with the mouse, or the shortcut is Shift Control down on Windows. And then with that selected, let's just make a range name for all this stuff. And if you go to Formulas, Create from Selection, top row, okay, that'll give a range name for all of this as profit. So if you clicked on the name editor just to confirm, you should see that the profit is referring to G19 to G1018. All right, so we got a range name for the whole profit area called profit. And that'll make it easier for us to call that range. So let's calculate the summary measures, step 9. Okay, so you're going to put these formulas in B12 to B15, but instead of the whole range, just use our range name, which is profit. Okay, so let's start with the average. Okay. So right here in B12 equals average. And then just type in the profit to refer to the range name you just made. Okay, so equals average of profit, which should refer to the range of G19 to G1018. Okay, you can use the standard deviation function here, which is equal to, in B13 equals STDEV. All right, that function, and then so STDEV, and just put in profit. All right, equals STDV, and then in the parentheses profit, so standard deviation of the profit range. Okay, and then here in B14, just get the min equals min. All right, so equals minimum of profit equals min, and then in the parentheses profit for the profit range. And then final one in B15 equals max. Okay, equals max of profit. Okay, so you're just putting in the functions and then referring to the profit range. So this is equals average of profit, equals STDEV of profit, equals min of profit, and equals max of profit. And so we've done random simulations, so the average and the standard deviation should be a little bit different, but your minimum should be negative 250, all right, and your maximum should be 500. So these two values should be the same. Okay, so we got the summary measures.
Professor,
Yes.
can you show the average one more time?
Yeah. So just type in the average function, so
My
equals
number
average.
is different with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay because they're random numbers, so it's going to be based on the profits you got. So because of random numbers, it's going to be different. So this one and this one should be different, but these two should be the same.
Okay, thank you a lot.
You're welcome. Okay, next step, 10. Okay, so let's set up a distribution of profit table, like figure 10.26, if you have your textbook. If not, I have mine here. Okay, and then we did this. Let's set up the table first. All right, so where are we? Okay, so in cell I-17, let's give this, we're just going to give a title to the chart we're about to make. So let's call this distribution of profit. All right, and if you hit the Control B, that'll make it bold. And then here, let's give a subtitle in I-18. Let's call this value. Okay, and J18, let's call this equals, or just call this frequency. And then in K18, this is relative frequency. Okay. So all you've done here is just put some labels. So this is going to be the distribution of profit table. All right, and the title in I-18 is value, J18 is frequency, and then K18 is relative frequency. So what we're going to do here is list the possible values of profit. Okay. So you could scroll through and look at all the different possibilities of profit, but if you do it enough times, you'll see that there's only 3 possibilities. So profit based on the simulation can either be 500, 125, or negative 250. So if you go through all of this, you won't see, assuming you did it correctly, you won't see any other options. There's only three possibilities that profit can be. Those are the three. Okay, so let's put those options here. So the first option is negative 250. Put that in I-19. All right, just type it in. And then the next option is 125. Put that in I-20, and then the final option, if we're lucky, it's 500. So put that in I-21. Okay, and then let's put these. Let's format these to be currency. So it looks like the profit. So if you select I-19 to I-21, just Home tab. Home tab format cells, and then change the category again to currency. 0 decimals with the dollar sign and hit OK. All right, so we're just setting up the table. We're saying that this is the lowest possible value of profit. This is the middle one, and this is the highest. So if you look through your profit simulations, profit came out to one of these three options. Okay, and now we're going to determine how many times we saw those occurrences. Okay, so the rest, let's finish the simulated profits table, and let's put this formula in J19 and copy it down. Then let's calculate the relative frequencies in the next part by dividing the values by the number of simulations, which is 1,000. Okay, so here, J19, type in the formula you see there in step 10, which equals equals COUNTIF, and then in parentheses profit for the profit range, and then comma I-19. So we're counting how many number of times we got 250 as a result of the simulation for profit. So equals COUNTIF, profit I-19. Okay, and so I got that outcome 316 times. Your frequency is going to be a little bit different because we have random simulations, but it should be somewhere around there. And then grab the bottom right corner of J19 and drag it down to the other two, like this. All right, so this is how many times we got 250. This is how many times we got 125, and this is how many times I got 500. Okay, so, and this is the most likely one, so you should have more of these than the others, but they're going to be a little bit different based on the randomness. Okay, and so just to double check that we're on the same page, or we're doing this correctly, right here, J22, just calculate the sum to make sure they sum to 1,000. So in J22 equals the sum of J19 to J21. Okay, so your frequencies will be different because they're random simulations, but this number should be 1,000. So double check here that you counted for all your simulations, and that the sum is 1,000 because it has to be one of these three. All right, and then therefore the sum of all the outcomes has to be 1,000 to total 1,000 simulations. So this should be 1,000. Okay, and then the relative frequency is the number of times out of 1,000 that we got that occurrence. So to get the relative frequency, just divide the frequency by the number of simulations, which is 1,000. So in K19 equals J19 divided by 1,000. Okay, and then grab this one and drag it down to get this relative frequency and this relative frequency. So this should be J19 divided by 1,000. This should be J20 divided by 1,000, and this should be J21 divided by 1,000. And then again, just to double confirm that this is correct, the relative frequency should sum to 1. So if you grab this and drag it over 1 like this should be 1. Okay, so your frequency should sum to 1,000, and your relative frequency should sum to 1. If they don't, then something's wrong. Okay, so everybody good on the distribution of profit table? All right, we got 1,000 occurrences, and the relative frequency is sum to 1. Okay. All right, let's now find the best order quantity. So this is the whole point, is to look at the simulations and decide if 200 was the best option, given the probabilities and the distribution. So let's set up one more data table for average profit versus order quantity, like figure 10.7. So 10.27. All right, so if you go back to your spreadsheet, and we're gonna title one more data table, just to the right of the other one. So go to I'm in M17, and let's call this all right. So data table for average profit versus ordered quantity. So that's the title. In M17, and you can make that bold, just Control B. All right, then the subtitle here in M18 is ordered quantity. And then here in N18, let's call this average profit. Okay, and then, oh my goodness. Okay, and then there's a few more steps to finish the table. So if we go back to the Word document. Okay, so let's just enter the formula equals B12 in N19. All right, so we're gonna sync in the profit. Okay, so in cell N19 under the average profit, the formula is equals B12 Okay, so see how B12 is the average profit. So we're just sinking in the average profit calculation over here. So this, whatever goes here, should be here. Okay, so this is equals B12. And then let's list the possible order quantities that we're going to choose from. Starting here in M20, so we're gonna number from 100 to 300 in increments of 25. So in M20, 100. Then here 125. All right, then you can just select the two, M20 to M21, and just use Excel to count up to 300 in increments of 25. Okay, so here's what we got. So we got the title here in M17, data table for average profit versus order quantity. Right. In M18 and N18, this is order quantity, and this is average profit. This is N is equal to B12, and then we titled, or we put 100 to 300 here in increments of 25. So 100, 125, and these are all the possible order quantities. And we're going to use a data table to see what average profit we get based on these choices for order quantity. Okay, so to make the data table, select all of this together, M19 to N28. So including this, so select M19 to N28, and we haven't done this for a while, but we've done it before. So data tab, and then what if analysis, and then data table. All right, so remember this. So data tab, what if analysis, then data table. Okay, this is a one-way table, so there's no row input cell, but the column input cell is B9. Yeah, so B9 is the order quantity, so we're trying to see the associated or the corresponding average profit based on different order quantities. So make sure that this column input cell is B9 to change the order quantity, and then hit OK. Okay, and okay, so if you got the same, if it didn't change like mine, then just try doing this. Select N20 to N28 and try formulas and calculate now. There we go. Okay, so you should get different average profits based on the different order quantity possibilities. And then if you want, you can also just format the average profits to be like currency. So if you got...
Sorry, Professor. Can
Yeah.
you show it again?
Sure.
Thank you a lot.
You're welcome. So let's go. So what do you, just this part? I don't know. Did you get, let me delete
Yeah, I
these.
got those number.
Oh, so just to get them to change?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So if you got the data table, but these numbers are all the same, I think that's the question.
Yeah.
Then what you want to do is click on the formulas tab. And then there should be a button up here called calculate now. Just hit that and it should do it. Do you see that?
Yeah, I found it. Okay, got it. Thank
Did
you
it
a
work?
lot.
Okay. Yep. Okay, and then with your average profit selected, which are N20 to N28, just change the format one more time to currency, which is Home tab, format cells, and then we want the category to be currency. You can leave the 2 decimals with the $sign and hit OK. All right. Okay, so what we should have here is a data table of average profit versus order quantity, just like it says. So these are the order quantities we're choosing from. And these are the average profits that we got with those order quantities based on the simulation. Okay, and your average profits will probably be a little bit different because of your simulations, but you should get some values here that go along with these order quantities to complete your table. Okay, so we got the table with the different average profits. Yeah? All right. Okay, let's do a couple more. We're almost done with this part at least. So last step for this spreadsheet. Let's create a custard column of average profit versus order quantity. So if you go back to the spreadsheet, if you want to select, what do we got? M20 to N28. All right, those order quantities and those average profits in the table. So select M20 to N28 and then insert. Let's try recommended charts. And I think that first one is what we want. So just the clustered column option, hit OK. All right, and then let's just do a little formatting and we're done with this part. So you should get the profit associated with those different order quantities. So if you want to do this, a couple things to this, to make it more clear, you can hit the plus sign or go to chart titles. And you can remove the chart title, but add axes titles. Okay, so this is the average profit on the y-axis. All right, and this is order quantity down here. Okay, and then one more thing I'd like to do is just move the label down to the bottom because it's kind of hard to see these numbers. And so I think we've done this once or twice, but if you want to, we're trying to move these labels down here. So if you click on the x-axis like this, and if you right-click it and go to Format Axes, all right, and then down here where it says labels, click on that, open up that part. And if you see label position, change that option to low. And if we did that, it should move these x-axis labels to the bottom like this. Yeah? Okay, so we got our graph here of the average profit associated with these different order quantities. And all right, were we able to get this part moved down? All right. And then, so the goal here is to find what order quantity gives us the highest average profit. And so you can look at the chart and you can double check by just uh, giving us the top value here. So if you go down to the table and you select N20 to N28 and just go to Home tab, Conditional Formatting, Top Bottom Rules, Top 10 Items, and let's just give us the top one. So just decrease this to 1 and hit OK. All right, so based on your simulations, it might be a little bit different, your average profit, but you see that for mine, giving us the ordering 150 gave me the highest average profit of about 260 based on these simulations. And you can see looking at the table that it was close, but that was, so what I determined is we should not order 200. We should instead order 150 because that would give us the highest average profit expected. Okay, so you see that between these options, obviously if you ordered more than 200, that's a bad idea because you start losing profit. But your max profit or your highest average profit is probably around this 150, 175 area, or maybe even 125. Okay, and you should see that the average profit with the highest average profit for the order quantity should also be reflected on here, right? So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, did we get that? Okay. Oh, sure. Okay, so this part.
Yes. I didn't get that part.
Okay, but you got this.
Yes.
Okay, so we're just trying to highlight the highest average profit. So let me take this away and do it again. Okay, so we're just trying to find the highest average profit in this range, and then we'll find the order quantity that goes along with that. So if you select in your data table N20 to N28, then okay, under the Home tab, Conditional Formatting, click on that, and then you want to select Top Bottom Rules, and then you want to select Top 10 Items. So we're just choosing from a bunch of menus. Okay, so Home tab, Conditional Formatting, Top Bottom Rules, Top 10 Items. And once you're here, just change, we don't want the top 10, we just want the top one. So decrease this to 1, so you get the highest one, and hit OK. And that should give you the highest average profit, and then you can see the order quantity that goes along with it, and that should confirm what you see in the graph here.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so the goal of this, or the purpose here was, should we just order the average of 200? And I've determined, or at least this simulation has determined, that that's not the best option, given the probability distribution. Instead, it looks like 150 is the best option. Okay. All right, so I think we're done with this part. We still have a couple other ones to do, but they're a lot quicker. So this one, you can save it, and that goes here. Okay. Now we just have a couple more steps, but So step 12 is to do the same thing with a one-way data table, and then step 13 is to do it with a two-way data table. So, all right, we still have about 20 minutes, so we'll do as much as we can. Okay, so we've done steps 1 through 11. All right, so save the ordering calendars Excel only one, and that goes in the discussion forum. So for step 12, open up the next one, which is this one. Okay, so under example 10.2, for the next step, we need this one, ordering calendars Excel only 2. Okay, so we're going to do a similar analysis, but I guess there's 3 ways that we can do it. We can do it like we just did to do the simulations manually. Another option is you can use a one-way data table, and the third option is you can use a two-way data table. So step 12 is just doing the same thing quickly with a different method, which is a one-way data table. So for ordering calendars Excel only 2, let's first make our range names. Okay, so a lot of it's already set up. Let's make a range name for the cost data. All right, so this is ordering calendars Excel only 2. So you can select A4 to B6 and make range names for those. You can make a range name for order quantity, so just select A9 and B9 and make range name for that. And then also you want to make your manual range name for this data table. So select D5 to F9, and up in the name box, call that lookup table. Okay, so just to double check, formulas tab, name manager, and you should have these 5 for now. So the lookup table, which is that big box, order quantity, unit cost, unit price, and unit refund. Okay, so we got those range names. Okay, then let's just put in those formulas that we see at the bottom of step 12. Okay, so these are pretty much the same exact formulas we did from the previous time, but we're going to do it with a one-way data table. So in cells B19 to F19, put in these formulas in those cells. So back to the spreadsheet. Okay, starting with B19, the formula is equals the first one in step 12. Okay, equals VLOOKUP, RAND, and then open and close parentheses, comma, lookup table, comma 2. So the only difference here is we're putting the random function in the lookup table function instead of outside of it. So in the previous one, we had random, and then we used the lookup function to grab the random. Now we put the random function in the lookup table. Everything else is the same. Okay, it's going to look up the random number, give us the demand in lookup table column 2, which is the demand associated with that random number. Okay, so you're going to get, based on your random number, you're going to get one of these 5 possible demands here. Okay, it might be different than mine. All right, then the rest of the formulas are the exact same we did in the previous one. So here equals equals unit price times min B19, comma order quantity. So whichever is lower, we multiply the selling price times that. Okay, same exact formula as before. For costs, in cell D19 equals the next formula. Okay, equals unit cost times order quantity. That's the same. Refund in E19 equals okay, same formula as before, equals unit refund times max. And then in the parentheses, order quantity minus B19, comma 0. So if we ordered too many, we get a refund at $250 per extra calendar. And then profit is the same, equals revenue plus refund minus cost, so equals equals C19 plus E19 minus D19. Okay, so we've set that up, and again, this is all based on the random number which generates demand. So if your demand is different, your profit most likely is different. Okay, then let's number our replications 1 through 1,000 in A24 to 1023. All right, so starting here, right, the A24 1, and then A25 2, and then we know what we're doing here. Just select A24 and A25, and then use Excel's autofill to count up to 1,000 like this. All right, so there you go. So in A24 to A1023, you've manually numbered 1 to 1,000 to do your simulations. All right, so just put the formula equals F19 and B23 to sync in the profit. Okay, so in B23, this equals F19. Okay, so see how the profit goes right there. All right, so whatever's here is going to go here. All right, and then we're just going to make a big data table. All right, so let's select the whole data table, and we'll make a one-way data table with, we just need a blank cell as the column input cell because it's got to be just any random number. So back to the spreadsheet. And you want to select all of this. So you want to select Okay, you want to select A23 to B 1023. So select A23 to B1023, all of that selected. We're going to make a big data table. All right, A23 to B1023 is selected. All right, and then data, what if analysis, data table, column input cell is blank, and the the row input cell is blank, the column input cell you can put in C23. You basically want any blank cell just to generate random numbers. And there's nothing in C23, but that's exactly what we want. So row input cell is blank, column input cell is C23, hit OK. There we go. And we should get the profits for each replication based on this calculation. Okay, so the question is, so it didn't change the value, so just to you got all the same numbers. Is that what the? Oh yeah, yeah. So do this. Okay, select all the profits. So if you want to select B, where's that? Okay, so select B24 to B23. All right, so if you got if all your numbers are the same, like Kayla's, then do this. Okay, with all those selected, let's make it manually update by clicking on Formulas tab, and then over here you should see an option called Calculate Now. If you hit that, it should refresh or calculate the profits. Okay, so if your numbers didn't update, try this. Select it, and then Formulas tab, and then Calculate Now. Okay, did that work? Okay, you're welcome. All right. Okay, now let's, we did that. Now let's get our summary measures in the range up on top. Okay, so I think, again, let's make a range name for the profit. So if you, but we don't want this first one. So if you select B24 and all the profits, so the shortcut here is Shift Control Down. All right, so I've selected B24 all the way to B1023. So all the profits from the simulation, B24 to B1023, and let's manually give that a range name. All right, so with that selected, let's call this range up in the name box, profit. Okay, then enter. Just to double check, if you went to formulas and name manager, you should see that your profit range is B24 to B1023, right? For that, the profit range in the simulations, there should be 1,000 of them. Okay, and then here. We did this before.
Sorry, I didn't see it.
Oh, sure. So you want to for the range name?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just manually, because I didn't want to include the first one to mess up
Yeah.
the calculation. So you want to select B24 to B1023.
Yeah, I do.
You got that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then and then just manually put the name in the name box right here. Just type in profit and hit enter. Did that work?
It's not save.
It didn't work.
Oh, I saw it. Thank you a lot.
Okay, and then just to make sure you got it, if you click on formulas and then name manager, you should see it there. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Okay, and then let's calculate the average standard deviation min and max based on the profit range. So in B12 equals average. All right, so equals average of profit, which should get the average of your big profit range. Equals average and range name profit. All right, and then this one in B13 equals STDEV, and in the parentheses profit. All right, so equals standard deviation of the profit range equals STDEV, profit, enter. And then let's get the min equals min of profit in B14. All right, and then finally in B15 equals max profit. There you go, enter. Okay, and so again, the average and the standard deviation are going to be a little bit different because you're random simulations, but the min should be negative 250 and the max should be 500. So these should be the same. All right, and then it also calculated some confidence intervals based on your simulations. So basically what this says is there's only a 5% chance that profit's outside of this range. And your range will be different, but this is, for mine, this is the lower limit and this is the upper limit. If you change anything, it'll change the confidence intervals, but that's what that means. Okay, so for yours, you could be 95% confident that profit's within this range. Okay. Okay, so we got that part. We got this data table, and we got the summary measures. Oh, so all right. So we're out of time. So we're done with this one. All right. So you can save this. All right. So we're not going to get to the third one, but that's okay. So the other one we'll get to it later. It'll be optional, or whatever. But for this assignment, all you have to turn in is what we've just done. So the completed ordering counters Excel only 1, and ordering counters Excel only 2. Don't worry about this one. We didn't get to it. So just the first 2 go here. By next Tuesday, and we'll stop there because we're out of time. But thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you on Thursday, same time, and we'll do our last new exercise.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.